There's no more questioning your value as a human just because you lost something you cared about, or just because something failed that you had the guts to try. That is so brave. And I am still going to honor myself for being brave enough to put my pain into something that was bigger than me. And now I get to see, what now? Who do I choose to be now? What magical things get to happen? Welcome back, everyone. I am a little nervous to talk about this conversation today. And when I'm nervous about something, it usually means to me, to my soul, to who I am inside, that this is a very important step. If any of you who are listening have been on an uncovering, unbecoming journey of trying to figure out who you truly are inside without the codependencies and the need for people to validate good and bad, the need to be told who you are, or the need for affirmation of who you are inside, it is truly an uncovering layer by layer. And something that I know now, I'll be 43 in January. Healing, in my opinion, used to mean healing means getting better, right? Healing means that the wound is closing, everything's going back to normal, and now it's going to be beautiful and everything will be easier again. Well, good luck with that, because what healing really is being able to face the worst parts of your past, present, of things you don't know about. It's being able to face, when they say shadow, meaning the darkest, darkest moments, and sometimes truly barely hanging on by a thread or an anchor or a hope that you know it one day will get better. But there are people who can't truly face their shadows because it is rightfully so beyond painful. And this year, I am learning to talk about things in the way that feel 100% authentic to me. And sometimes it may feel like it is only talking about painful things. And maybe that is true. Maybe sometimes, I've gotten made fun of for using my voice a little more, but I knew that that was going to come. I have been shamed for being truthful and being honest, and that is the cost of being brave and speaking up. Now, on the healing journey doesn't mean that you're going to get everything right, and just because you're healing, it puts you in a superior place to anyone else. Absolutely not. It means that we are allowing ourselves the grace that we have given to everyone else. It means we see that you are worthy to have your perspective and to your view and your lens of life. And I am also worthy to share my experience of life. Something I find really interesting is that for survivors who have either grown up in violent homes, experienced abuse, or anyone who has gone through traumas of any kind, but most often complex trauma survivors, we have a difficult time saying no. And our fear of saying no is that if we do, the people that we truly love and care about will not stay. And this year has been the biggest test for me to say, I love you, I see you, but this is not okay. And know that even when people do leave because of that, I'm not alone. And my biggest fears have happened. And the worst case scenarios have happened. And I am not alone. I am still here. 7 years ago, December 16th is when I lost my daughter and I almost died. And this week, just yesterday, I just realized that only 2 months after that happened, 2 months of 10 plus panic attacks a day, 2 months of only surviving because I was holding on to my husband and my two boys. That is the truth of it. It's very uncomfortable to talk about and to hear, but that is the truth of where I was then. 2 months after that happened, I wanted so badly to lean into post-traumatic growth, which is a term that I read about, that you can turn your greatest pain into your greatest blessing. Doesn't mean that what happened to you should have happened to you. It meant that if you can get through that pain and learn from it and come out on the other side, you are going to be stronger and braver because of it. But what I did was I skipped the healing part. I skipped all of the giving myself the grace and love that I needed to give myself. I skipped the slow moments. I skipped and pushed past and forced. And 2 months after that greatest loss and greatest break of my life, I signed an LOI, an intent to lease my first salon. And only 4 months after the loss, I signed a commercial lease to open Theory salons. And then I realized it was 9 months exactly from the time of the loss to when I opened my first Theory salon. And today is the day after I had to tell my team that I have lost the ability to continue our first location. And there have been so many things that have contributed to this. At the end of the day, I've realized through how painful this month of making this decision was that we all really have no control. And I put all of my love for the daughter I didn't get to have. I put all of my focus, I put all of my physical ability, I put all of my mental energy, not into healing, but into creating a place of safety for everyone else. I did what I'd always done in a different way. I took what was the most painful thing for me and tried somehow to help other people through that, which is a wonderful and beautiful thing, but I forgot to help myself in the process. I thought I was honoring my daughter, and what I did end up doing was entangle my worth as a human to if that business survived. And in having to close this first location, it has been the most rock bottom I have ever been besides that moment. I have realized that I not only didn't start healing from that till this year, I just kept trying to save people over and over. I put myself in a position to be the foundation and to be in a position that this business, this location could only survive if I continued to be the survivor, the pusher, if I continued to give everything. And when I stopped this year giving everything of me and realizing my family also deserved part of me, I deserved to have a say in my own life, and started realizing that things were so unbalanced in the doing, and I created a version of what I thought was success. And what it really was is I wanted to be seen as the good person. I wanted to be seen as the person who was self-sacrificing for everyone but me. I wanted to be seen as good. I wanted to be seen as like unconditionally loving. And all of those things are wonderful, but that is actually a form of codependency. I was codependent on people to give me validation for my own worthiness as a human. I was dependent on everyone else to define my worthiness and to define my own boundary lines. I was dependent on everyone else looking at me and saying, yes, you did a good job, so that I could stop working, so that I could stop for the day, or so that I could finally rest. I tried so hard to fill the void that was the pain of my own guilt, of feeling like I couldn't save my daughter because she grew in my body. I felt like, of course, even though they said they did all these tests and couldn't figure out what was wrong, there was nothing wrong with me and nothing that was wrong with her. Deep inside, I've always blamed myself. I blame myself because I lived and she didn't. I blame myself because my husband had always wanted a daughter, just like I had. And if I blame myself, then at least I have a reason, right? So learning to keep talking about things that are really hard and to let myself process that I'm now losing the business that I poured my love for her into has been the second hardest thing I've ever had to do. This business is a limb to me. My identity and my worth has been tied into a few things. One, that I could get myself in poverty and I'm a survivor and that I can accomplish anything that I want to. My identity wasn't tied in people loving me, and when they don't, when you don't get that love back in return, it makes you again question, like, I guess I was never worthy of love to begin with, which is not true, but that is the underlying feeling. My identity is then tied to being a good mom, of course, because I wanted to be something I never had. My identity has been tied to being the helper, being the provider, being the caretaker, being the fixer, being the strong one. And although I don't regret anything, when you look back on things that the choices that you have made and take inventory of your life, I hope that you don't look back and realize you didn't live almost any of it, like didn't live it. And I mean, when you are constantly pushing and trying to survive and forcing, and then you're trying to mold and change to be who everyone tells you you need to be. And then you're trying to make all of these people around you happy. And then you have to start becoming reactive to all the ways things start crumbling and the things that start happening that you couldn't have predicted. So you're running, you're surviving, and then you're being forced to react and be okay, react, be okay, react, be okay, replan, get it together, react and just be okay. And you realize that not many people care. It is my responsibility to care for myself. I don't want to look back on my life anymore and say that I didn't live it. At 43, when I turn 43 next year, my hope is that my kids and my husband can stop looking at me as the one who could survive everything that was thrown at her, the one who was strong, and look at her and say, wow, my mom is fun to be around. My wife is fun again. And my kids to say, yeah, she was strong, and then she was brave, and then she lived. So that they can have permission to live fully too. My goal in talking about the hard is because when you are in a hard time and someone says, oh, you're fine, you get through anything, you've always gotten through anything, you know, that is kind. But when you hear someone tell you, like I have been having women in groups come to me and call me and talk to me and tell me, I have been through this too. That rock bottom nearly took me out. I was so alone. No one understood. I didn't feel like anyone cared. I went bankrupt and still people didn't care. And I had to find the love and grace again for myself and stop identifying as the strong one, as the survivor. And then they told me about their journey through 10 years later. That has helped me more than anything could have possibly helped me. I am losing the piece of myself that needed to be seen as worthy by other people. In closing this location, I am losing the last piece that was my grief in full life formation. I am letting myself be seen as a failure, if that is how I'm seen. I'm letting myself let go of the need for anything to decide who I am. I am letting go of the need to push through and keep pushing past the point that was long surpassed long ago. I have been struggling and working as much as I did back when I first started in the business 16 years ago. And that feeling of feeling like you're back to where you first started, that you didn't succeed, that you didn't end up better, that you didn't do what you thought you could do, is scary. It's embarrassing. It has been so embarrassing to have to tell people that I failed. And even in this failure, I know I have said forever and ever that failure is not. I tell my kids this, and I do believe it, that failure is not actually failure. It is lessons given to you in disguise. It is opportunities to change. But it doesn't mean that it is not heart-wrenching, that it is not painful. It doesn't mean that it doesn't make you question every single conversation, question everything in your heart, question all of your intentions, question all of your actions, question all of your decisions, and feel really lost and confused for a little while. And right now, I am still grieving this loss. We are not closed. This location is not closed yet. We'll close in a little less than 2 weeks. And still, I want to talk about the feeling of failing, the feeling of losing all the people that you cared about and realizing it didn't necessarily go both ways. of losing everything that you needed to feel good about yourself. I have lost everything that made me feel successful. I have lost everything that was my identity. And now I get the choice. After I feel all of the grief, after I feel the failure and the embarrassment of it all, I'm not going to push it away. I'm not going to run from it. I'm not going to not feel the sadness. And now I get to choose. I get to choose who I am every single day, just like you get to choose who you are. Nothing and no one defines who we are outside of ourselves. Sometimes the people who say the nicest, most flattering things make us feel good, but it's not actually who we are. And the same goes for people who tell you how awful and disgusting you are. They don't define who you are. I am so thankful that I have been able to build something from my pain. And I am thankful that what no longer fits has been taken from me. And now I get to choose. Who am I now? I was a survivor. I am resilient. I had so much grit. Now I have inner knowing. I know that I have the most amount of love to give. And I know that some of it has to be reserved for myself. I know that even when I feel like a failure, it was all worth building. I know that one painful door closing opens up a window for something even better if I let it. And I know that this story, this is the closing of this one. But man, there's so many new stories about to begin. And now I get to choose to be fully present 100% of the time. I get to choose who's in my story. I get to choose to make decisions based on alignment, based on my family, based on my needs too. I get to say, you're welcome here. I'm welcome here. We all matter together. You know, one thing about me is that I've never seen anyone's title as making them like higher or lower than me. I've never seen anyone that walks around begging for money as lesser than me. I've never seen a celebrity that meant more than me. I truly see that each one of us has our own innate values and our own innate worth. And we are all the same. And that's what I see when I look outward. And you, unless you've talked to me, wouldn't know this. But when I look inward, I've never truly seen my own value as being at anyone else's. So when things like this happen, it is truly the biggest blessing for me to be able to look inside and say, you're still here. You're still worthy. You're worthy. You're worthy. You're worthy. There's no more questioning your value as a human when things don't go how you've planned. There is no more room for questioning my worth as a human. There is no more room for you questioning your worth as a human just because you lost something you cared about, or just because something failed that you had the fucking guts to try. That is so brave. And I am still going to honor this version of what theory was. I'm going to honor the people that have loved it. I'm going to honor myself for being brave enough to put my pain into something that was bigger than me. And now I get to see, what now? Who do I choose to be now? What magical things get to happen? What freedom do I get to be a better mom than I got to be in those 7 years of constant surviving and pushing? Now maybe I get to be a fun wife again. And maybe, just maybe, this was the miracle that I have been waiting for. If you've listened to this full thing so far, thank you. Thank you for letting me pour my heart, love, and pain about my loss into this. And I hope that you can know when things don't happen for you how they wanted, when people leave, when you are left with nothing but yourself in the mirror. You can look at yourself and say, I am worthy. I love you all.